One of the things about stress is, and I jokingly say this to lots of people, if you want to live in a world without stress, without tension, without difficulties, you're on the wrong planet. And I can set you up with an intergalactic travel agent to go someplace else. But on this planet, stress is part of it. And there's no escape from it. It's not necessarily bad. If we learn how to manage it, it can become an enjoyable experience. Now, for example, if you see someone who's breathing hard, who's sweating, who's a little bit short of breath, whose heart rate is up, you go, "Oh my god, he's having a heart attack," or maybe he just finished jogging. So it depends. One of the things, are you familiar with the word homeostasis?
Yes.
That to me is a very key word. It means coming back into balance. And balance is not a tightrope where, "Oh my god, I'm gonna fall off." Balance is a path. And as long as we stay on that path, so using natural medicines, I practice homeopathy, or using stress management to bring us back into balance is the way to live our lives. Fortunately, when we habitually, as children, develop patterns and habits in which we get stressed, and we're not taught how to bring ourselves back into balance. Now, I grew up with the phrase, you may have grown up with it also, "Oh, you're making yourself sick."
Yes.
Now, how often do we learn the phrase, "Oh, you're making yourself well"?
Never. I never.
Exactly, exactly. And our body and mind are such a balanced system that it takes a lot to throw us off. But if we have the ability to throw ourselves off, you turn the coin over, we also have the ability to bring ourselves back into homeostasis. So my approach is to help people. I trust in people's ability. When I meet with someone, I see someone, I interact with someone, I trust in their ability to return to balance. Now, for different reasons, people can be out of balance, but there's a goal. I believe in someone's potential. I believe in my potential uh, to kind of come back into balance and live a life that you choose to. Like, you're a photographer, right?
I love doing photography. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a way of seeing the world, and that's a great way to do it. I'm a photographer where I look at things. I don't snap a camera, but I create images in my mind. And I'm looking for those frames to notice. For me, it's particularly have to do with people. I live in New York City, so there's so many people to notice and observe and pay attention to. One of the things in our society that we don't do this frequently is learn to take a picture of what's going on inside of us. We're so focused on around us that we miss the internal world. And that's where a lot of the balance happens.
Yes. Now, is there a difference between men and women in that how they bring themselves back to the balance or how they handle or deal with stress and things like that?
Is that really a question? The question is not, is there a difference? What's the difference?
Yeah. What is the difference?
So I have something that I call first reactions. Something happens and we're all geared to having a habitual first reaction. And it comes in four flavors. It comes in either psychological. Some people will start to go, "Oh no, really, I'm not okay. That's what I expect." And they go into this negative way of thinking. Other people have an emotional reaction where they get impatient, irritable. That's my trigger. That's what sets me up. And I'm working on that. Because to me, it's managing stress doesn't mean not having reactions. It's being able to catch them and balance more quickly. So that's my area of work. And my partner, Denise, is helpful in pointing it out to me and helping me notice when I'm having those reactions. And then another level is physical. Some people they feel tightness in their tummy, their shoulders get tight, their neck gets tight. And the fourth level is behavioral. For some people, it's excessive talking. Other people, it's withdrawal, going for food, going for cigarettes, whatever it is. So those are habitual reactions. And what I teach people is if you can begin to notice what is your reaction, you can begin to interrupt it rather than start judging ourselves. Oh, there I go again. And now we're down the rabbit hole to a further reaction. And then also, when you begin to notice first reactions, you're at an advantage against other people because then you notice when someone else is having a first reaction and you don't need to jump in. You can let them spin out of control with their first reaction and just notice it and go, oh, they're having a first reaction and not make it a big deal. Now, so generally, men and women tend to have different first reactions. I'm being generalized here, okay? Women tend to either start to talk faster, become a little more impatient. They become not impatient, insecurity will come up and they'll talk faster and they will try to become more aggressive in trying to get you to see how what they're pointing out, what they're talking about. Or the other extreme is they'll just shut down. Oh, what's the problem? Nothing. Okay, we've all heard that, right?
We have.
But the key here, and I'll get into men's first reaction in just a moment. But if you recognize it's a first reaction and not make it bigger than it is, you don't have to get into this tug of war, whether it be with a close one or a work colleague or whatever. It's just a first reaction. It's not a big deal. And they will come out of it. They will have resilience to come out of it if it's not fed with resistance back. Now, men have a different kind of, they'll become either aggressive and their voice will pick up and they'll like try to force you into something, or they will just shut down. They just, you can't get through to them. Now, for if a woman recognizes that's a man's first reaction and don't make it personal, that's the key, not making it personal. It's their habitual reaction. It will soften and it will flow away. Is that helpful making more insight?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And I think it's that recognizing the first reaction is a two-way street. Recognizing it in yourself allows you to recognize it in others, which
Exactly.
will dissipate any type of further reactions maybe that are negative.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's not a big deal. We all have first reactions. There's no escape from it. Okay, so it's just a first reaction. I remember when was first started learning this concept many years ago. I would have office meetings with my staff before the office opened, and we're having a meeting, and something was going on, and one of my staff held up a sign saying, "Stop! I'm having a first reaction." And it, like, made us all laugh, like, she was on it, and Joni was honest enough to say it. We all laughed, and it kinda dissipated without her holding it in and kinda burying it. So it's like, we have first reactions, so what?
Yeah. I, one of the most difficult things is when you have that immediate, well, first reaction's immediate, but where
Yeah,
you mentioned the tightening of the chest, and all of a sudden you're just clenching your fist and your heart rate starts going up. That is so difficult to get realigned. And is breathing part of it? I mean, you used to hear the Goldilocks method, or some people will put their fingers together, close their eyes, they'll do hum or whatever. But that doesn't work if you're out in that environment and you're talking with somebody. You don't want to go, wait a second.
exactly.
So
That's why I came up with the Goldilocks breath. Because, we've often told you, take a deep breath. Well, one of the difficulties is if you don't know how to do it correctly, you can actually create more physiologic stress in your body unless you've been trained to do it. Also, at some points in time, some situations, you can't interrupt the conversation. Say, oh, I need to take a deep breath. Doesn't work like that. So what I've discovered is the Goldilocks breath is not too deep, not too shallow, just a little bit deeper than normal. People won't even notice. And you'll notice your shoulders relax, you'll notice your mind's quiet, and you're like, okay, now I'm back. But you have to identify to yourself, I'm having a first reaction. If you don't identify it, and it's a training, in the same way that we've trained our system to be reactive, we can train our system to be de-reactive. But it's a process.
yeah, you're right with that. The Goldilocks method or the breathing, they usually tell you 4 or 5 seconds. But if you're doing that in mid stride of a conversation, going, they're going to go, something's wrong with that
Yeah,
person.
exactly, exactly,
Just a little
exactly.
bit more of a deeper breath than normal and let it out slow. Yeah.
Now, it's a training. One of the things I've found over time is if you practice that even when you're not feeling stressed, you periodically during the day, you take a few Goldilocks breaths, and you'll notice your system responds quicker and quicker. So when you are hit with a first reaction and you've already practiced the Goldilocks breath, your system will respond quicker and homeostasis will occur faster. It's like anything, you train yourself. We don't need training to be I jokingly say to people, if we people were asked to lead a workshop on how to feel stressed, everybody would volunteer. I can lead that workshop. That's easy. I'm a master in that. However, the goal is to, yes, great, you're good at that. Now let's how to learn how to de-stress, how to change that first reaction.
Yeah. I want to ask you something, Dr. Dushkin. Do you have a website or a book or anything like that? Because, I mean, we're already talking about a lot of good information and we want to make sure that people have someplace to go.
Sure. The name of my book is Manage Your Stress, Manage Your Life by Dr. Ron Dushkin. It's available on Amazon and other places that sell books. And I wrote this book. Let me talk about the history about this.
Yeah.
For a number of years, once a week, my friend Nick and I would get together and do improvisational short story writing. And so we've got hundreds of short stories. And the idea came to me about 2 years ago, maybe we should publish a book because he and I thought our stories were great. So there's a guy named Steve Harrison who has a company called Author Success. And I heard him on Facebook, a Facebook ad. He was talking about doing a free webinar on how to publish your book. So in the course of the webinar, I thought, Nick and I don't really have an audience. Who's going to buy a book from these two holistic doctors they don't know nothing about? And it talked about what do you really have a passion about? Who is your audience? And I thought, I have a passion for helping people decrease their stress levels,
Hmm.
to live a life of greater freedom, both emotionally and physically. And I thought the audience is huge. Who doesn't want to stress better? So that became the impetus for me to write this book. And then over the course of about a year and a half, I wrote the book and it's now available on Amazon, as I said. And I wrote the book not as a lecture, but as a conversation like you and I are having. It's a very low key written, and I have chapters on the first reactions, taking the breath, on humor, which I personally love a lot. One of my favorite chapters, however, is also about who is your best friend? And we can name what are the qualities of our best friend. Oh, they're there for me when I need to talk to them. They'll listen, they'll go on play dates with me, whatever it is. And I thought, yeah, but who's going to be with you 24/7? Your best friend has their own life, our body.
Hmm.
Who else is with us 24/7? Who else would put up with us 24/7? And
So,
and that bec and many years ago, I have the great fortune of being a physician and being in the operating room and seeing what the body looks like from the inside out and the miracle that our body is. And it created this gratitude for me about how our body really serves me. I mean, without our body, we're not here, right? I mean, we can
mhm.
argue that philosophically, but you know, so how to appreciate our body rather than take it for granted. And I believe our body's always doing the best it can, sometimes in spite of us. The book is filled with so many things.
Yeah. You know,
Go on. I can just go on and on. Talk to me. Ask me
I
what
was
you
gonna
want to
say,
know.
like you're saying about the stress and our bodies, we are our best friend. Our body is our best friend. It's with us all the time, and we're resilient. But people also need to realize that stress is a silent killer because if you don't manage it, it begins to eat away internally and then external. And then next thing you know, you've got a condition and your health is going down you know.
Well, it's not just physical health, it's also mental health in
Hmm.
terms of our relationships, our work productivity. Also, it can drain happiness of our life. Like we're here not just to get through life. Okay, good. I chalked up another day. So what? Do you get a chance to appreciate and experience joy and happiness in the midst of your life? So that takes me to the topic of gratitude. It's one of my favorite topics. Is that Many years ago, I was walking with a friend of mine, Richard, and we were talking about something, and we both focused on something we felt grateful for from that day. And we both realized in the moment of feeling grateful, we felt really, really good. And it occurred to me that when you feel grateful, stress can't exist in that moment. It can exist before, it can exist after. But in the moment of feeling grateful, like all is well in that moment. So I began a personal habit of that I've been doing now for over 30 years, gratitude meditation before I go to sleep. I can't fall asleep without feeling at least 3 things I feel grateful for from that day. And it doesn't matter what they are, because the goal is to induce the feeling. It's not like, "Oh, that's not I don't feel grateful enough about that." It doesn't matter. It's the feeling.
Yeah. It, I'd like to throw in one thing about gratitude is it's okay to feel okay. It's okay to be happy. Because I know that a lot of times a lot of people want to, but then they make up an excuse of, well, I shouldn't be because of whatever it may be. But it's okay to feel okay and to be happy. So,
That brings up a couple thoughts, is that, "Oh, I shouldn't feel happy because so and so is suffering."
hmm
So, what I always wanna know, how does your feeling unhappy lower their suffering?
right. Yes.
If we can feel lower someone else's suffering by feeling unhappy, that's great. However, sometimes when we feel gratitude and feel in a place of gratefulness, we get insight about how to help someone else in their suffering.
Yeah. Yep. So
So,
important.
I personally want to live in a world where people are feeling less stress, are feeling more happy, are feeling more grateful because the world works better. That doesn't mean there won't be suffering. It doesn't mean there won't be unhappiness. That's going to happen whatever we do.
hmm
But if we can reduce it, interrupt it, prevent it, it becomes a better place to live, both in our immediate world and in the larger context of the world.
Yeah. I want to say one thing that makes it easy to make yourself feel better as well as making somebody else feel better. And that's a smile to a stranger. That's opening a door to a stranger. That's saying hello to a stranger. It puts them in a better place. And I believe that it puts you in a better place as well.
Well, it may or may not put them in a better place.
Let's hope that
Seriously.
they do
Well,
go into a better place.
it may or may not because we are not powerful enough to change someone else.
That's right.
However, but we are powerful enough to offer positive energy. I have this belief there's a number of phrases that if we practice can help change the world. Please, thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry. If those 4 phrases were practiced more, the world would be different. People would be softer. Who doesn't like hearing thank you? Who doesn't like hearing please? Who doesn't like hearing excuse me? Those thoughts, it's like you were saying about, the kindness that happens. People respond to that. And I think I forget who it was who said this, that people will less remember what you do and more remember how they feel in interacting with you. Is it Maya Angelou, I think, said that? If I'm correct, I may not be. But when we help people feel better, they notice it. When we help people feel appreciated, they feel it.
Yes. There's a couple more things I want to find out from you, which I think is really interesting and very important as well. Is
Sure.
I think you've said that it's not what you eat, but it's how you eat that creates the stress or prevents stress. So what do you mean by that?
You've read the book. I like that. So I haven't. That's in the chapter. There's a lot of talk over the many years about the mind-body effect, the mind, how it affects the body, and I have a chapter on that. Some powerful healing stories in there. However, I also have a chapter about the body-mind effect, which is less spoken about. So eating is obviously a necessary phenomena for us to do, and it can be enjoyable or it can be unenjoyable if we're not paying attention. However, if we overeat or we eat too quickly, we end up feeling digestive discomfort. That affects our mind. If we're feeling physically uncomfortable in our body, it affects our mind. So the body stress is now producing mental stress. So it's not just what you eat. We can talk about that to some degree, but also how you eat and how much you eat. People often tell me, well, I don't have time to have lunch. I don't have time for a big meal. I say, well, don't eat so much. Have a smaller meal. Your body will feel, you and your body will feel a whole lot better if you're eating less and digesting better.
Absolutely true.
I also want to talk a little bit about sugar.
Yeah. Yes, I wanted to bring that up because that tastes good and it feels good that second, but
Well, so it's hard for most people, myself included, to totally eliminate sugar. It's the hard thing to do. So to me, it's not about all. I try not to get into all or none, except for some things that are like using drugs and stuff. But otherwise, I try not to get to all or none because we're human. So sugar itself is not really a food, and it's not nutritious. Sugar is to me an anti-nutrient. And I say anti-nutrient because it requires nutrients in the body to metabolize it. So we eating sugar actually has a negative effect on the body overall. That's why I'm not a big believer in lots of supplements, but I am a big believer in a daily multivitamin. I don't know anyone who has a totally perfect balanced diet. I just don't know anyone. And if they have a really totally balanced diet, they're so tight about it that they're creating stress trying to fit in a perfectly balanced diet. So, give ourselves some space. So, so sugar is one thing. And if you can't cut it out, try to reduce it. And what I have found for myself, I happen to really like chocolate chip cookies. That's one of my weaknesses. So, yeah, you're shaking your head. Yes, I understand. So, what I'm practicing doing is taking a couple of 2 or 3 Goldilocks breaths before I eat a cookie. And what I found is it decreases the impulse to eat more than one. So I'm not getting rid of it, but I'm eating it less. I'm eating it less impulsively. Also, chewing, if we're talking about eating, chewing is so important. Our teeth are not just for pretty smiles. Digestion begins in the mouth. The better we chew our food, the easier it is for our bodies to absorb the nutrients in the food. Also, for many foods, the better you chew, there are subtle flavors and textures you notice if you just gobble it down without paying attention. I'm not sure how we got into that, but oh, the other thing is caffeine. Caffeine has no nutritional value, but we all like it. It's probably the most used drug chemical in the world. And that's just the way it is. Again, if you can minimize, I happen to like the taste of coffee, but I don't overdo it. And each person's unique. So a half a cup for some people might be okay. 2 cups for others, someone else might be okay. But as I mentioned in the book, there's some people, a person who came to see me was drinking 6 cups a day and was jittery, was getting a racing heart, couldn't fall asleep. Now it's hard to go cold turkey on something like caffeine. So what we began with him was like, okay, let's see if we can find a decaf substitute for you that will provide you with the taste without the caffeine hit in your body. And over the course of a few weeks, we're able to wean him down to 2 cups a day with decaf substitute that he found acceptable. And the jitteriness and the sleeplessness that he was experiencing dissipated. That comes back to I'm trying not to be into an all or none phenomena. It's recognizing we're human. That's just how we are, like it or not, we're human, for better or for better.
yes, I do like that you're bringing up the topic about the foods and, some of the nutritional facts, and especially the breathing before you maybe jump right into eating it, because I think it gives you that little bit of a break to, it gives you that moment of pause, not to think, should I or should I not? But it just gives you that moment to pause. You eat it slow, savor the taste. If you like it that much,
Exactly.
savor the flavor and the taste. And you're right, it will slow you down from, possibly eating or overeating.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it inadvertently before, and that's why I say that I've experienced that 'cause I'll sometimes love, say, chocolate chip cookies. I'll wolf it down, but then there are other times when I've come across a good one, I inadvertently do the, I can't wait," Heinz ketchup kinda thing, anticipate put it in my mouth, I'm going, "Oh, this is so good." Well, I'm thinking about it, I'm chewing, I'm not wolfing it down, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Exactly. exactly. And that's true about life. If we can pay more attention to life, we will get to make better choices. We often complain about, oh, I'm doing this or I'm having to stop doing that. Okay, that may be in fact true. However, when you become more aware and particularly notice what your triggers are, what your first reactions are, you can interrupt the patterns that follow your first reaction. So you might end up with softer tummy, softer shoulders, maybe less anxiety, maybe less irritability, less impatience, less talking unnecessarily. And we get to appreciate, like being a photographer as you are. You get to notice things without judging them. You're noticing ourselves. So let me ask you, what I would like to do, would it lead people in a mini gratitude meditation? Would that be acceptable?
Let's do it. Yes.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to tell your audience what I'm going to ask you to do in just a few moments is to close your eyes unless you're in a position where you can't, either in a meeting or driving a car or whatever it is, to take 2 or 3 short little breaths and then think about something that you truly feel grateful for in your life. Now, it frequently has to do with a loved one, but it's not limited to that. And the goal is to invoke the feeling of gratitude, not just to think it. So now I'm going to invite your audience, wherever they are, is to close their eyes, take a couple of short, slightly enhanced breaths, and think about someone or something that you truly feel grateful for. Not just think, but really feel it in your body. Notice how that feels, how good that feels.
Mm-hmm.
And then come on back.
Yeah. It's a reset. It just reset me just now when I did that.
Well, that's so wonderful. And it's what it does. It interrupts stress and resets. And when stress gets interrupted, and then when it comes back, it doesn't have the same power because now it's been interrupted. In sports, I often make this analogy. In a basketball game, if things are going in the wrong direction for one particular team, the coach will call a timeout. He will interrupt the flow of the game. After the timeout, he will send the exact same players back out onto the court, but something's different. The same players, the same game, but the energy has changed.
Mhm.
He's like doing a little mini gratitude and putting the players back out there, and things change. So whenever we can interrupt the flow of stress, we go back to our lives, whether on a basketball court or wherever it is. We go back to our lives, and things are different. That's what we're looking for: is how to make things different in a more enjoyable way.
And when you're saying that, I'm thinking about all the, I mean, we haven't talked about negativity, but breaking that flow breaks that negativity and gives you that break as well, which is partial with the stress. If you're feeling that negative energy, we talked about positive energy, negative energy, take a break. Sometimes that might be, you can either do it like you said just now, like how we did it, just a few seconds, or walk away for a bit and come back. We've heard a lot of things about if you're stuck or you get in a position where you can't finish something, step away for a few minutes and come back to it. So all the same principle. Uh, but there's one thing
In
that
that context, there's always the excuse of a bathroom break.
yes,
You can't just walk away and say, "I need to gather myself." "Oh, I need to use the restroom." "Okay." And then you already create a break, and you can take on your way there, you can just take a few Goldilocks breaths and feel yourself rebalance.
yeah, so true and so easy to do. So why aren't we all doing that? Uh, I do have something really. I think it's very important all the
Sure.
time, but it seems like maybe possibly more now, and that is that work life balance between meetings, deadlines, family time, personal, professional. How do we create a
Great. Right.
better?
That's a great question. That's one of the biggest stressors for people. I kind of joke that, we have a meeting, we stick something in our left shoulder. We go to another meeting, we stick something in our right shoulder. Then we stick something in our lower back. How was your day? Nothing major happened, except we're carrying all this stress all along with us. And that's where I came up with the idea of what I call making transitions. And for me, it started with making the transition at the end of my workday before I left to go home to just sit in my office for a few moments. and let the day fall away from me as much as it can. So when I go home, I'm bringing less of the day's stress home with me. And I've taught this to many patients, and they tell me it's such a difference when they get home. They're more present for their family and their loved ones rather than carrying everything from the day into the home life. Now, this can be that's one of the biggest what I call transitions in the day. However, there's also from meeting to meeting. Can we take a few Goldilocks breaths after a particular meeting, or after we meet a deadline, a stress deadline? We're happy it's over, rather than go to a bar and have a couple drinks to celebrate. "Ah, I'm over. Take a few Goldilocks breaths. Let the stress of that event or that series of events, and then you're carrying less as you go forward to the next part of your life.
Yes. And like I said, use that word carry. If we don't do a lot of these things, and if you're the type of person that's in a professional environment and you're going from meeting to meeting and you're stressed and you don't do that, all you're doing is compounding. You're carrying it to the next. And next thing you know, that grocery bag is full. You are the grocery bag throwing all the stuff in there.
That's a nice image. I like that image of a grocery bag.
And it's not a good thing because then it's so difficult to do what you're saying at the end of the day because that bag is so full. And then you're thinking, I got to get home. I want to get home. Then that's more stress on top of it. So
Exactly.
take those small little Goldilocks breaths or breaks, however you want to see it. I think throughout the day is great.
In that context, one of the things I think is important, again, it's developing what I call stress management habits. And for me, over time, I've noticed waking up and going to sleep, beginning my day, ending my day. And what is the attitude that I have when I begin my day? It used to be like, "Oh, no, I've got all this to do, blah, 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 blah." And what I discovered is that I've trained myself, and it's really actually very cool. What I notice is what I've trained myself, the first thought I have when I wake up in the morning is, "I wonder what cool and satisfying things will happen for me today." And it's like setting an intention for the day. Now, not that's not always gonna happen. There are gonna be things that happen that are stressful that I have first reactions to. That's gonna happen. But I don't set myself up for them when I wake up. At the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, my gratitude meditation, regardless of what's happening, I want to go to bed feeling more relaxed, feeling more quiet, letting whatever stress I'm carrying from the day slip away and feel grateful about things. And it's not a moral thing for me. It's like, well, this really feels good. Why shouldn't I allow myself to feel good? As we said earlier, my feeling bad doesn't relieve someone else's suffering. That
Right.
doesn't work
Yes.
like that.
Dr. Dushkin, Dr. Ron Dushkin, can you let us know once again where folks could go, find your book, find out more information about you again, because this is such an important topic and it's something that all of us have, or if you say you haven't, you probably will experience something.
So the name of my book is Manage Your Stress, Manage Your Life: How to Reduce, Interrupt, and Prevent Stress. It's available on Amazon and I think in all places that carry books. Yeah, and if they want to know more about me, I have a particular page on my holistic medicine website. It's drdushkin, DUSHKIN.com/media, MEDIA, info, INFO.
Make sure that we get all the information in the show notes for you in this. This has been very good way to start the day. So I
Oh
have
yeah, you're in
thank
Seattle. It's only 8:30 there, right?
yes, sir. Yes, it's I know some people say, "Hey, it's already mid-morning." Or some will say, "I'm just getting up," but you're right. It's only 8:30-ish AM.
Yeah.
So, I'm ready to start my day, uh, you know,
Continue your day.
and
Continue.
continue. I am gonna do one thing though that I did not do, and what you said. I need to think about, you know, kinda like, what am I looking forward to today? The happiness, the joy. I'm gonna tell myself I'm looking forward to, and I'm gonna say it out loud, to 5 minutes with my dog. I'm looking
Ooh,
forward to that.
what's your dog's name?
Bonsai.
Bonsai. Wow.
So, that's gonna
Chuck and
be my
Bonsai.
yes, it'll be my morning happiness, and It'll continue my day into my next meeting, and I'm going to do all the things that we talked about. I'm going to do my breathing. I'm going to excuse myself, take a little bathroom break, things like that.
And notice your first reactions, and notice how your habitual response is to judge yourself for having a first reaction. It's okay. First reactions are there's no escape from them. We are physiologic beings. We're energetic beings. I don't want to live in a world where people aren't reactive, aren't sensitive to things.
That's
That would
called
be a really boring
AI.
world. Yeah, right. That would be a really boring world. Is,
Yeah.
when I see a patient who is coming in for hypersensitive symptoms, whatever they are, I say, I want to acknowledge your sensitivity. I want to live in a world with sensitive people, but we want to bring you back into balance so your sensitivity isn't so hyper that it throws you out of balance.
Yeah. That's the key. Balance, less
And
stress, balance and reset.
as I said earlier, it's not a tightrope. Oh my God, am I in balance? No, it's a path. It's a path. There's some movement in there, and a path to enjoy
Yeah.
and to look. And as your eye as a photographer is looking at things, look around life and look for those joys and those happinesses. One of the things for me in New York is I enjoy looking for kindness, acts of kindness, either on the subway where someone is getting up from a seat to give it to an older person. That always touches me. They're not told to do it. They just act kindness to do that. When I see people I see an older couple walking together, and you can tell they've been together for a long time. There's a certain joy they're experiencing to be together. That touches me. So looking for them, if we can, it's too easy to miss. Let's look for them.
Yeah. And well, we could go on forever with the conversation on this. And I just want to also add, like I said, you're looking for this, you see it, and it touches you emotionally. And I'll say this, that emotional touch also becomes a physical, makes you,
Yes,
it's hard to explain, but makes you feel better, but then you're physically better. Like you were saying, your shoulders are relaxed. You go, that is so sweet. That is, you feel for that older couple, or you feel that gratitude yourself for seeing somebody give up their seat to someone.
it's a mind body experience. When you feel something, it has an impact in your body, both directions.
I love it. I truly do. Again, Dr. Ron Dushkin, thank you very much for this insightful conversation and very important. So I hope you have a wonderful day in New York. I did hear some sirens in the background earlier.
Yeah, it's part of the orchestra of New York.
That's right. Who wants to go on that straight road? Because I know when I'm driving and driving through life, I like a little bit of curve. I like that because it throws that excitement. It challenges me, but I know that I'm headed in that right direction. And that's that direction of happiness, gratitude, and understanding.
That sounds great. Well, I want to thank you, Chuck, for having me be on your show today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I don't like saying goodbye. I like saying to be continued, and however
I
that
like
shows up for us.
to be continued. Yes,
Have a blessed day and enjoy it.
I will. Will.